This is Star Trek: The Next Generation interactive VCR board game, A Klingon Challenge. That is a mouthful, isn't it? But that's the full title of this game as printed on the box, which that always gives me a laugh. This is one that I have some very fond memories of, as I had it when I was a younger kid. It was lost to the sands of time, but happily I recently found a copy at a comic book store that was still in original wrap and got it for a great price. I'll have a link in the description for the unboxing video. That was a lot of fun, but I'm really excited to review this game. So why don't we dive right in, starting with the game box. Now, right up front and center, we see this Klingon here. This is Korvak. He's the main antagonist of the game, played by Robert O'Reilly, who's made a number of appearances in other Star Trek series. So he really does a great job, by the way, in this story. He hams it up so much. I can't wait to talk more about it, but let's stick to the box for now. The titling fits in very nicely with this white background that kind of gives it an almost dress uniform look, which I thought was very elegant. You'll notice also we have this serial number on this badge on front. I thought that was really funny. That's actually an individual sticker. The other copy I had of this had the same thing. They make it seem like it's limited edition, but I'm willing to bet quite a few copies of this were made. That being said, I guess in the end it is kind of limited, but I feel like they were trying to give you a sense of perceived rarity and make this seem more like a premium product, which as far as a lot of these games go, this one feels really good. Now, when we flip it over, we see a close-up picture of the game board as well as some screen grabs from the VCR adventure. So the movie that accompanies this, it's a 1-hour feature called A Klingon Challenge. So we have some clips in there of A Klingon Challenge. Now, this is a lift-off top box, and it features a vacuform organizer that holds all of the game's pieces very nicely. Now, one critique of that vacuform organizer is, oddly enough, it doesn't have any support pieces on the outside edges, so it feels relatively flimsy in the box. So if you pick up a copy of this, beware, as that vacuform piece also hasn't aged very well, and so mine's already starting to show cracks. Now, this box also had some dents and dings that indicate that it did not have the gentlest life as is, so I'm sure it got shaken around. And a few pieces, like one of the tricorders I had some damage just from shelfware in the box as well. Now let's have a look at the game itself. There's a lot going on here, but it is so fun. All right, so first off, you'll notice on the board we have this little listing of ranks from lowest to highest here. This is important because you will need to know who the highest and lowest ranking officers in the game are as you receive instructions from Korvak or instructions from your computer access cards. We'll get to what those are in a moment. So players will draw tokens that have ranks on them at random, and then they will select a male or female avatar that they will place in their little plastic base. And the rank, you'll notice, is actually listed at that little player piece's feet. So they have quite a few little options, but every single one of them is one of these little gold shirts here. So I understand why they had to make sure to not only differentiate by rank, but have the colored tokens on the bottom. It's just, it can be a little confusing even with all of that. So I thought that was silly. But players will also be issued a tricorder that matches the color of their player's base. Here, red's over there. So I've got the red tricorder here. I've got red right over there. There we go. There's my character. All right, so you are going to be playing as part of the crew that's on the Enterprise working on the computer. It's a very small crew of only 2 to 6 people. While the ship's getting worked on, Korvak the Klingon, as played by Robert O'Reilly, hijacks the USS Enterprise and takes it on a suicide mission headed straight to Qo'noS, the Klingon homeworld. His goal is to kick off a war between the Federation and the Klingon Empire. You have about an hour to try to gain control of the Enterprise back from Korvak and stop this galactic war. So it's a lot of fun. Now, Korvak notices partway through his hijack that you're on board, and that's where you get the title of this game that says A Klingon Challenge. He challenges you to try to stop him from kicking off this war. Now, in order to stop him, you need to make your way around the ship and collect these level access chips that power up your tricorder and grant you special ability or further access to the ship. Special abilities include things like being immune to being placed in a stasis field or having access to the phaser that you will need to get from security and take to the bridge so you can go fight Korvak. So players will make their way clockwise around the board, trying to gain access to these different rooms. How do you gain access, you might ask? Excellent question. You'll see these computer access spaces. As players land on them, they will draw a computer access card from the deck. Now, there are two types of computer access cards. There are time-stamped cards that will have special actions that they can take at specific times in the game. So they will need to watch the countdown timer on their screen and make sure they declare that action when the time strikes, because being even a few seconds off means you can't declare that action. The other type of card is a room access card that allows them to get into one of these rooms. When they get into one of those rooms, they will be granted one of these access chips that they then slide into their tricorder. I grabbed the wrong level here. The next level is 3, so I got to make sure. The tricorder is a little like cardboard piece with some gaps in here, and then you get these other cardboard pieces for the chips that slide in. And they say right along the side, like, holodeck access. So for instance, if I land on one of these holodeck spaces, until I have my level 1 holodeck access, I can't draw a holodeck card. And those are a big help because they allow you to consult a hologram of one of the crew members of the USS Enterprise. And oftentimes they will give you a special buff that you can use during the game to help you progress. You'll also notice there are move again spaces, lose a turn spaces. There's also power panels that allow you to deactivate stasis fields should a player be placed in one. And also one of my favorites, the turbo lift, which if you land on a turbo lift, you can instantly move from one turbo lift to the other, making it much easier to get around the board. But you will need to be careful, as Korvak can get angry and trap you in that turbo lift. And there's nothing worse than being trapped for a full minute in this game when every second counts. Now, as you're making your way around the ship trying to collect your access chips, Korvak will occasionally pipe in on the communication system and force you to play his game. Sometimes he'll issue you pet names that might be complimentary or might not. Other times he will tell you to experience Beige, Klingon for punishment. If he tells you to experience Beige, you will need to draw one of these cards and follow the instructions on the back. However, even though there's a punishment on top, occasionally the computer will malfunction, signified by this yellow symbol on the screen. If that happens, you read the lower set of instructions, and sometimes that can actually help you. He will also sometimes tell players to take the challenge of the Klingon sword, where they must spin this spinner here and follow the instructions associated with any number that they land on. This happens a couple times throughout the game as well. So this game never plays the same way twice, even though it's a pre-recorded program, because it's all based off of who's playing, whose turn it is at the time. It is a basic roll and move. You get a 6-sided die here that's numbered 1 through 6 with Arabic numerals. It's a simple mechanic. You're going clockwise around the board, hoping to land on enough spaces that grant you enough buffs like computer access cards to progress the game, all while racing the clock and occasionally getting waylaid by Korvak, the Klingon, who wants to punish you. This is a lot of fun. It's a super joyful party game. That's the biggest thing, is when you decide to really get into the act. This game actually came with a bunch of stickers. So you had communicators that you were supposed to stick onto your chest so that you tapped your communicator, just like characters on the show. There were even rank pins to put on your collar as well, and medals that you would award the winner at the end of the game. Now, obviously, I'm not going to take those off the sticker pack, but in the spirit of the game, I am not unlikely to go find some cheap stand-in pieces like some magnetic earrings or something that'll look like rank pins and some little communicator pins, because I thought it was so fun. Really, when Korvak appears on the screen, he demands that you answer him, and you can get in trouble for not answering him. Now, before we go too far, I also want to talk about one of the game's accoutrements here, the rules, which come on a pretty sturdy piece of relatively unusually sized cardstock. It was not low acid, so it has yellowed over time. Single color, black. It's black and white with a little bit of purple on here, but very clear, easy to read, no folds, so obviously they are going to stand the test of time. They haven't been tested too hard. This game was still sealed when I got it. These little clear guys don't show up too much on camera, but these are the stasis fields Korvak can put you on, and I always thought the addition of a physical stasis field was great. Just, it looks good. It's fun. I thought that it was enjoyable that they threw it in. I wish the little phaser tokens were thicker. You know, like we have these level access chips that are a nice chunky cardboard to fit with these nice chunky cardboard tricorders. But the phasers are just a really thin cardstock. They are just as thin as any of the cards, like the computer access or the beige cards. And the beige cards, these are kind of tough to draw because they're sort of an odd shape. So that was kind of one of my complaints, is I wish they were just a traditionally shaped card with the beige logo on it, because I love the art. I love the art there. It's just great. The cards themselves, the computer access cards, are a little bit floppier than I like. The print is full color on one side on sealed paper, and on the other side it's just black and white with blue accents, and it's unsealed, so it feels kind of rough. And there was a lot of like pulp from the cutting in the box when I cleaned it out. The player pieces are very robust, but one thing that I'm not a huge fan of is that they require every game that you take out the cardboard piece and put a different one with a different rank in the little plastic pieces. And these plastic pieces, I went out of my way to not put these too deep in the plastic pieces because they're very tight, and doing that over and over again is eventually going to really wear the cardboard, which was sort of frustrating. So I wish that there was a better solution than just having a bunch of cardboard men and women that you stick into the plastic with this rank here, you know, but it is what it is. It's held up. The board itself is beautiful. I love this. I know it's not the most complex board art out there. It folds into thirds, so it makes for a pretty decently sized board that fits in a relatively low profile box for what it is. I mean, this box, it could stand to be a little shorter, I'm not gonna lie, but the vacuform tray inside only takes up so much space. But on the same note, this isn't the most inefficient organizer that I've seen in the world. You could probably make it like a 1/2 inch thinner if you really wanted to, but no. I don't think this box has an unnecessarily large footprint for everything that you get. But overall, the paper products are really great. The die, I like the die. It's chunky. It's a little bit rounded on the corners. Decent size though, decent weight. The stasis fields, I don't know what type of plastic they are, but they are generous, so I'm not entirely worried about those getting damaged. This might be one of the worst spinners function-wise that I've ever used, but style-wise, one of the coolest. With the Klingon, they call this a Klingon sword. It's certainly not a batla. This looks more like the little daggers that they have that have the little guards that pop out just in the closed position, so I don't know. I'm not sure if there's a proper name for that type of dagger, but I always thought Klingon swords were the big batlas that you would see, the little two-hander with the 3 handles on them. Those are cool. I'd love to get a display one. This is such a fun party game. One thing that I really enjoy is if you get into the act and everything, you have to do things like pay attention to who's wearing their communicator at the right time in the game, because you have to be wearing it. You have to tap your chest and say, "Yes, Captain Korvak," whenever Korvak appears on your screen, and he will do it a lot. He loves to taunt you. But for instance, when you enter the Jeffries tube to go fight him, you're supposed to take your communicator off so that he can't detect where you are. And if another player notices that you don't take your communicator off, they can call you on it and set you back. So it's kind of important to the player versus player aspect of the game, because even though you're all crew members working together to stop Korvak, you are trying to be the one to stop Korvak and win your Medal of Valor from the Federation. So I even love that they talk about, he even mentions, if you beat me, you will win a medal. So the whole thing is very hokey and very fun. The performance in the video is way better than it deserves to be. Actually, there was something that I remembered decades after I played the game, and that's when he first enters some commands into a control panel. That is the most metal button press that I've ever seen in my entire life. Just Oh man, Mr. O'Reilly, if you ever see this review, you made this game, sir. That performance, I don't know if they have, I should invent, here's what I need to do. I need to collect VCR board games, and I should invent an award for best performance on a VCR interactive board game, because I know they got DVD ones too. I know they have a bunch of them. So I'll tell you what, why don't you comment below and let me know what your favorite interactive board game was. Was it a VCR board game from the 90s? Was it a DVD board game from the aughts? Comment below, let me know. I would love to hear about it. These things are so fun. I used to have a horror-themed one called Nightmare. That was a blast. I would love to get another copy of that, but if you find Star Trek The Next Generation, the interactive VCR board game, snap it up. You get 6 players on the board. First off, playing 2 players, you're going to get through this pretty fast, but the chaos of having more players on the table, it's definitely worth it. The more, the merrier. The sweet spot is about 4, 6. The difficulty curve gets there because you all get so disjointed in what you're doing. You see, the players slow each other down. And that's kind of the point. So I would say like the optimum experience is about 4 to 5 players. When you get 5 to 6, it starts to get really difficult. So make sure everybody knows what they're doing. But that being said, it's kind of fun to lose to the game as well and see how everything plays out. I enjoyed playing this just for the whole, like, the atmosphere of having it running. You had the actual, they had a little bit of engine noise from the Enterprise. What I did think was funny was they had the fan service at the very beginning of the video, but it was like it was done on a synthesizer, so they weren't using the exact soundtrack from the show. So I don't think Decipher was able to get all of the licensing. So it was funny that Paramount endorsed this as being shot on location, Paramount Studios. They definitely put budget into Korvak's makeup and costume. He looked just as good as any Klingon I've ever seen in Star Trek. So he looked great. The whole thing was a really nice production. I mean, yeah, the Enterprise effects that they used were kind of some of the generic bits that would not normally be tossed into the show. And some of it looked almost like early CG and less like the model. Because I remember too, in The Next Generation, one of the reasons the Enterprise looked so good is they had a real scale model that they used for a lot of those shots. And in this one, it almost looked more like this was like an early 3D digital model as opposed to the physical model he used in the show. So maybe that was also a thing too. Kind of looked like a bad video game, but I didn't care. You only see the ship from the outside a couple of times. The whole rest of the game, you're seeing on your screen the perspective of control panels or the stars coming by with a little countdown timer. But it was just the ambience. And if I could, I actually, when we played it, we had it up on our large TV on the other side of the room from our table. And if I could, I would actually probably have put it on my laptop next time when I do it. I wanted better sound. So I might, put some speakers or something, but having the panel closer to the table, I think would also help. So keep that in mind too, when you're setting this up. And if you have an old CRT TV, definitely play it on a CRT TV. The digital rips, even when they're upscaled, on a big screen, even I think we played on a 42-inch, didn't age very well. It was serviceable and just fine, but I also have a thing for with these retro games, like VHS always looks better on a CRTV. And I don't know if I have any VHS aficionados in my audience here, but there are certain movies. Like, I'm a big proponent of 28 Days Later being better on VHS. Comment below if you have a favorite movie that you think's better on VHS watched on a CRTV. But I think this is also best played in its native form, its intended form, playing it right off the tape on a CRTV. Now, granted, not everybody has a VCR anymore, so, even if you have digital, still put it on your CRTV, but that's just me. This is an awesome game. Sorry, I went off on a tangent because I had so much fun. I loved the video. I loved Robert O'Reilly's performance. The box is great. I just have such rose-tinted glasses from this anyway, from loving it as a teenager and then playing it again as an adult. 100%. This will definitely hit the table repeatedly when I'm having game night with friends. It's not too difficult. Star Trek is one of those things that's also so universally known. Everybody has kind of a love for that subject matter. Very seldom do I pull out a themed board game over something like Star Trek or Star Wars that's a real pop culture icon like that and have people get you know, oh, I don't want to do that. No, everybody's usually really excited, like, oh, I recognize that. This is cool. And that's part of what does it for me with a lot of these games. There can be some licensed games that are just trash, but when you get one that's really fun and really novel, it's hard to argue with. So check out Star Trek The Next Generation, the interactive VCR board game, if you get a chance. Thanks for joining me today. Thank you so much to my couch potatoes, my channel members, for supporting the channel. You guys are the lifeblood. You help me find these awesome games to review. Hey, we'll see you next time.